Now you've had a chance to see Theron Johnson in a scrimmage setting a couple of times. Just what does he bring to the corner room, and what do you like about it, the experience that he brought here in the first place?
Yep, just got done conversating with him after this practice. He was a little disappointed in his performance today, and I never know till we watch the film. But it's been really cool to see his progression and then his confidence level. He's playing at a higher level um, in comparison to the first week, the second week, getting out there in the scrimmage, starting to make some plays, and in the body of the defense, you can start to see his confidence. So it's cool to see.
Right on the right, Zach.
How valuable were those special teams reps for Peyton last year, even though it did mean not preserving his red shirt? And, what did that experience give to him for this year?
Yeah, I'm always in favor of guys getting out there. Go back to days of Reuben Foster, Rashawn Evans at Alabama, starting as true freshmen on two of the core special teams, and getting that confidence established. So when it gets to that, whether it's that season or the next season, when those guys start getting rotated more, asked to be starters, the butterflies are out, and the confidence of whether it's special teams, offense, or defense, it's going to require playing with the difference, which we define as attack, strike, finish, and aggressive angles and tackling and things they're going to apply to all sides of the ball. So I think it's great for them.
Back left, Matt.
You guys have talked about how this defense there's a lot of language in it, and understanding of it can take some time. How has this group kind of evolved since practice 1 now to practice 12, and just the growth that they've got, the command of the defense?
Yeah, I've been impressed, with them of the attention to detail, and I think it goes back to really our evaluation process, and recruiting and signing as many alike mindsets as we can from a player and coaching staff standpoint. So bringing in the right guy, that loves ball. You're not going to make it here too long if you don't like ball. So more of an obsession of these guys, and I think what reflects our defense right now is we've got a inexperienced in the Oregon system / young defense that's potentially dangerous. We got a lot of good players there, and that's our job to coach these guys up, put them in the right position, and have them playing fast and violent. And I think we're certainly taking steps towards that direction.
Back middle, Brett.
Coach, obviously, spring game coming up hot this Saturday. With all the fans that are coming in, obviously, this weekend, excited to see this Ducks defense and this Ducks squad. What do you think should make them the most excited about this defensive unit this season before they get Eddie into the fall?
Well, I think there's guys. We've got a talented group again. And I'm thankful to be here and be coaching them. So I would imagine that the fans are going to get fired up to see some of that talent. Let it rip. We've brought some young men here, and we're going to continue to recruit, best of the best, and all starts in high school, and continue that trend. And then if there's an absolute necessity to fill, we feel like, that we'll consider the portal. But I think just that talent, that we've brought in here that's been developing. And I really see a group too, as a lot of these guys move on from this last season, is, there's quite a few guys with hunger, that are knowing that they're not gonna receive anything given to them, but they're in the mindset that I got to go take this. I want to get on the field. I want to play. So I think seeing of course a talented group, but a group playing with hunger.
James. You mentioned the possibility for further talent acquisition, Tosh, and you certainly have numbers in your favor if you want to do that after the spring game. How do you feel about the depth at inside backer, either both in number and because of lack of experience that you have the 3 redshirt freshmen and Gavin as a true freshman there, what you've seen from them and how you feel about the depth overall in that room right now?
I love what I'm seeing out of that group. The first practice where we had shoulder pads on, they weren't told by any coaches to be tackling, but they were tackling out there, which we had to, hold them back. And I would much rather have to hold back a group than tell them to sick them. And so this is a hungry group. There's talent in that room, and it's just tapping into it. And the more and more guys that, how guys are going to separate themselves in that group is, again, their communication pre-snap, getting us in the right call, and continuing to just own the defense, all the attention to detail, the anticipation, of how we're going to handle motion adjustments and formation changes. That those will be the guys that'll separate themselves. But I think I love going in that room, and you look left to right, and you see some hungry guys that certainly look the part.
Here on the left, Eric. Ask you about kind of the young group of safeties. Obviously, Dylan's maybe a bit of a known commodity, but the other guys aren't. Kind of what stands out about those guys and the competition there?
Yeah, again, the way we practice here and the way we work here is constantly trying to develop the guys. So that doesn't stop. Some programs choose to, do it differently, and we're going to constantly, at least be going through the mental aspect of the game, preparing the guys. So great example I thought last season was, Kingston Lopa really had a starting role in the Big Ten championship, to attempt to erase Tyler Warren, which I thought he did a pretty darn good job at. So that was a guy, the only reason we could be in position to do that is a guy that's been repping all week, all year, and gaining some confidence there. It's a really healthy competition there. As you guys know that have been to our practices, there's not a single person sitting around on the field when we practice. So, there's multiple fields going, multiple drills going, and we get a really good feel on evaluating these guys through that. So, I think the progression's been good. We got a long ways to go, but again, you got hunger there and you got talent there, and it all starts there.
Two more, Matt, then Zach.
We won't get to talk to you after the spring game. So I guess just what's the order of business for your staff on the defensive side of the ball, the next couple of months when you got to prepare for fall camp?
Well, we're gonna continue to try to establish patterns of detail, and discipline. That's what we want to do. So, when we go out recruiting, ball doesn't stop there. We're blessed and thankful to have an elite, both, staff and so-called support staff here. So, within the body of the rules, we're constantly challenging the guys of, how can we continue and not take, a month off and then press the reset button, just continue to progress. So, it's a reasonable expectation for us. The guys that have played for us, we expect them to be going to a next level, right? The guys that are coming in new, right, got their feet wet in the climb that came aboard here in late December, early January, right? Spring ball, we stepped that up, right? Some of the errors right there from the past, we're fine to not repeat those. It's okay to make a mistake. We want y'all to make new mistakes, so we're going to constantly keep that culture going. And I think if we do that, then we'll evolve into camp and be in a position that we want to be, and get an opportunity to compete and try to create the best version of us.
Zach, on the right.
You guys are expecting to have a record number of players drafted on this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
That's
Many
right.
of them coming from the defensive side of the ball. What kind of pride or accomplishment does that give you to kind of see your former players go on and continue their careers?
I think it's embodies this program, and that the growth mindset, So we landed here. I was afforded this opportunity to come over with Coach Lanning. We rode on the same plane after he just won the national title, and we just knocked the Colts out of the playoffs. And we landed here in January. We signed 99% of our class in December, so we missed that signing class, right? So got to roll our sleeves up and go to work, try to plug and play with a couple portal guys this is 2022. The year before us, we had one single human drafted, in the Oregon draft. So our first season here, we had 6 players drafted. The second season here, we had 8 players drafted, which broke the Oregon record. We'll have no less than 10 players drafted in this draft. So I think, just the growth and everything we're doing. And the goal is whatever the number gets set, we're going to try to reset that and break it the following season, So I think applying that mindset to everything we do, how we wrapped up last season from a defensive standpoint and being one of the top defenses, that's the expectation is to bump that up now, and not accept being a top defense. Let's strive to be the best defense, and that's the standard that's set here, and we're going to continue to challenge each other to try to climb to that direction.